For the second part of this mental health workout, we're going to focus on the core, the inner part of you. We tend to think of the core as the area from here to here, which is obviously the center of your body. But what we're going to do is explore the entire core of your body. And this is a real mental focus. This is a mind-body intrinsic focus. This is about going inside yourself. And I think this is a really important part of our mental health, is to connect inwardly and really kind of listen to ourselves from the inside. And I think that's a really important thing to do. So I'm going to talk to you about the core, the entire core, not just the core of the pelvis. And this workout series is for everyone. Yeah, if you're pregnant, if you're postnatal, if you're starting out, or if you're really strong and you're really fit, maybe you've got an injury, or you're really strong and you just want to kind of do a recheck, just a setback in order to be able to progress. Sometimes you need to take one step back in order to move on. And that's what this series is all about. It's really kind of checking in on ourselves, and it's important that we do that. Now, I'm going to use a band. You don't have to use a band, and particularly if you're pregnant or postnatal, you might not feel you need to use one of these anyway. All exercises are safe. What you've got to make sure is that you are connecting inwardly when you do this, so that everything is safe for you. But I assure you, this is okay for everyone to do. So if you've got one of these, great. If you haven't, don't worry about it. That's fine. What we are going to do though is just do a movement just to warm the body up a little bit. The movement that I want you to do, and you'll see me doing this in many workouts, is just to take one leg back behind into a calf stretch position. And it's kind of the best way I know to warm up. And you're just going to lift and lower through the back heel. So you're coming up and down. And one of the reasons why it's such a great movement to do is because it mimics a walking action. Yeah, so if you think of a walking striding action, it's that walking stride as you come up. It also challenges our balance, yeah, because as you do this, you'll feel your body's kind of tilting a little bit, and you have to really think about the core muscles. So we'll think about the core as we do this. We need to also think about stabilizing muscles. It's also a really good way to discover where maybe your core is being compromised, she says as she falls over. And one of the ways to check that is whether, when you do this, you can keep your feet fixed in tram lines. So your feet should be hip distance apart. Yeah, you're working through the inside, the ball of the foot, and pushing off your big toe, and you're coming right up onto your toe joint. Yeah, so not from the ball of the foot, but pushing off from the big toe. And as you do that, and you push off from your big toe, you need to squeeze into your bottom. And this is a fundamental part of your walking, running gait. It's a movement that we should all be doing every day, but often we push off from the ball of the foot. Can you see the way my foot's turning in now? We often do that. I'm exaggerating, but that often happens, particularly for people in pregnancy, but often runners will do that. And we generally can do that, especially when we've got tightness and restriction around our hip, because it's making our pelvis turn in. So by really being conscious of having your feet fixed in tram lines and just working through this movement pattern, it's a really good way to align the body. It's a great way to warm up, release your calf muscles, release your hips, warm up your glutes, but it's also a really good way to help us to connect to our core. So what I want you to think about now is, if you connect to your core, and let's just think about the pelvis for the moment, it makes you more balanced. So if we think of connecting to the core of the pelvis, we're going to think from the pelvic floor into the belly, yeah, which is that where we think from the pelvic floor is the pubic bone and tailbone. The pelvic floor runs from the tailbone through to the pubic bone, and you're drawing up and lifting into the belly. Now, it's not a huge big movement. Let's change legs, but it's an awareness, a feeling. In pregnancy and in postnatal, we tend to need to kind of really focus on that a little bit more. As we get older, we need to focus on that a little bit more because these muscles get weaker. But it's a very natural feeling, and I just want you to think of lifting through your center. And if you started to squeeze your buttocks, should have changed legs now, you can squeeze into your bottom and then think of that lift up through the pelvic floor. Now, how do we do that? It's ever so easy. You think of stopping from your back passage to your front passage and into your belly. That's it. So that's that stop a fart, stop a wee feeling, and into your belly. So if you do that right now, lift up through that, it will help you to balance. Can you feel that? Now, if you're pushing off from that big toe joint, can you then squeeze into your bottom? Because that's going to help as well. There's one other area of stability that's going to really help. And I don't know if you can see, my right knee is turning in. Now, the reason that happens is because I do have a bit of weakness, I know, on the medial glute here. So I'm going to push my knee out. Can you see the difference in the position of my knee? So can you check your knees out as well? Make sure that your knees are in line. And then put your hand on your right buttock and try and feel this buttock here. And just, can you feel that muscle working on the outside here, which is the medial glute? It's the outside of your hip. And that again is really important to your stability, but also to help you connect to your core, because you want your muscles to be balanced in the right way. And the more balanced they are, then the better you can connect and find that inner you. So hopefully we've warmed up the lower body a little bit more by doing that movement. We're now going to come into a hip distance apart position, and I want you to just think about where our core starts from, and it starts from the foot. So it doesn't start from the pelvis, it starts from the foot. Now, to draw up through the core of the foot, I want you to think of 3 points on the base of the foot. One in line with your heel, one in line on the big toe, one in line on the ball of the foot in line with your big toe, and one in line with your little toe. So it's like a little reverse triangle. And just to kind of feel those points into the floor, just gently move from your heels to your toes. Without lifting your heels or your toes off the floor, you're just gently rocking. And can you have a think as you do this where you feel your body wants to settle as you rock forwards and backwards? Just hold and just try to center yourself. You can close your eyes if you want to, and have a think about where your weight is. Where does it go? Because I know my weight tends to go a little bit into my left if I think about it. Just gently move around and just try to hold still. Where does your weight settle? Because ideally we want it to be right in through all of those 6 points: the heel, the inside, the outside, the ball of the foot. But what happens often, we tend to lean to one side, or maybe we go more forward or more back, or maybe just to the outside of one foot. So where are you in all of that? And that again can affect our core and our strength, because we're less centered, so we tend to feel our core muscles or our core muscles find it harder to work because we're loading to one side, and that causes tension and tightness in one side of the body. So you need to come off of those tight sides. So if you feel you're leaning to the left, could you bring yourself more into the center? Yep. Or if you feel you're leaning to the right, could you bring yourself more into the center? If you feel you're coming more forward into your toes, can you bring yourself more into your heels? So try to bring yourself right into the center. And then if you think of pressing through the inside of the ball of the foot and then drawing up through those 3 points. So imagine those 3 points have suckers on the bottom of your feet, and those suckers are like stuck on the floor. They won't come off the floor, but they will slide in. Now you don't want to gather your toes in. It's like you're bringing your toes in towards your heel and your heel in towards your toes, but keeping the toes long as you do that. So you're pressing through the inside of the ball of the foot, and then imagine drawing those suckers in and lifting the arch of the foot up, and then relax it. So that's the core of your foot. That exercise is called short foot. It's a really common exercise that's often done with anyone doing work on the feet. It's a barefoot exercise. So it's a really good core exercise to do. Now the magic thing is when we connect from our feet to that pelvic floor that I was talking about earlier, we feel this immense deep strength. So I want you to draw it through the core of the feet. Now go to that pelvic floor, which is that lift up from the back of the pelvic floor and into the belly. Can you feel that? Feel the strength from the foot to the deep core. Now we need to think about the core and the upper body, and this is a position of the shoulder blades and muscles that draw the shoulder blades back and down, and also the position of our head and the core of our head, which is the tongue. Yeah, the tongue is right in the center, and if you think of your jaw, yeah, and that as it being a pivotal point in your head, in terms of the balance of your head, the way we're thinking about the balance of your feet, you want to make sure that your head is centered. And one lovely way to describe this is to think of your head like an egg in a spoon, and you want to make sure that you're pulling the head ever so slightly back in the spoon, or the egg ever so slightly back in the spoon. So if you think of it gently rocking in the spoon, you're bringing the head slightly back. It's ever so subtle, but then if you put your tongue on the roof of the mouth, so put your tongue on the roof of your mouth and spread your tongue out, that will also help to strengthen you through the top of the head and into that end point of the spine. And then you want to, at the same time, think of muscles that draw your shoulder blades down. Now, there are deep muscles that help to bring your shoulder blades into the back of your rib cage. These are muscles called the rotator cuff, and they help to bring the shoulder blades down. But it's a very deep feeling. So when you do that, I want you to just bring your arms into this position so that there's no daylight between the sides of your arms and your rib cage. So they're right in, and I just want you to just subtly bring the shoulder blades back and down. And then you'll feel that deep strength, and then you can put your hands by your side. And actually, if you have your palms turned out, that really helps as well. So there are 4 main core things to think about: the core of the foot, the core of the pelvis, the core of the shoulder area, the shoulder girdle, which is drawing the shoulders down. That, by the way, corresponds with the core, which is the diaphragm, yeah? And then the core of the head, which is the tongue, and that head positioning. Now, it's all about strength. What's so wonderful is that they're all connected, each and every one. Your pelvis and your diaphragm are connected through your breath. They move together with your breath. So that's the core of your rib cage area here and the core of the pelvis here. But there's even a connection from your tongue all the way down to your feet. So from toe to tongue, that's what we say. And that connection, it happens through fascia. We are connected through fascia all the way through our bodies. And this is why we have to think of the body as a whole, not as just one single movement, and which is why this movement we were doing earlier is so important, because it thinks of you working through the whole of the body rather than just one point. You know, by that pushing off from the toe, we're actually helping to release tension in the hip. So it's all connected. So let's try and get that 4 points of connection right now, and always think of this whenever you're doing any exercise from toe to tongue. Draw it through the core of the foot, draw it through the pelvis, think of your breath, and as you exhale, think of the diaphragm coming down, the pelvic floor lifting up and the belly coming in, and then as you do that subtly, you bring your chin in, you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth, and you feel that connection. Now, it helps if you breathe through your nose as you're doing this, and we've already worked on our breath, and we've talked about the core a little bit in our breathing workout. So this is all connected, yeah? So let's try again. So take a breath for me. Inhale. Exhale. Draw up through the core of the feet. Draw up through the pelvic floor. Feel the shoulder blades come down. Bring the chin in, tongue on the roof of the mouth. And you can do it literally like that. Let's do that one more time. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale. Press through the inside of the ball of the feet. Draw those suckers in through the feet. Scoop up for the back of the pelvic floor. Draw the shoulder blades back and down. Bring your chin in, tongue on the roof of the mouth. So there's 4 main things to think about. Now let's do that again in our rocking movement. So come back into your rocking movement. So working through that back leg, squeezing into your buttocks, lifting up onto that big toe joint. And then I want you to think about stabilizing through your glutes, which is the big butt muscle on the right, and also pushing the left knee out on the left to feel that medial glute. So just make sure that that knee isn't turning in. Your feet are still fixed in tram lines. Now let's hold still as if you're doing a calf stretch and try to focus on the core of the foot, the scoop up from the back of the pelvic floor, drawing the shoulders down, tongue on the roof of the mouth. Keep pushing the knee out, keep squeezing your right buttock, but can you see how much stronger you are now in this position? Yeah, when you connect to that deep core. Let's just relax it again. Yeah, feel a little bit wobbly, and then do it again. So draw up through the core of the feet. Take a breath. Scoop up from the back of the pelvic floor into the front. That's that stop a fart, stop a wee feeling into the belly. Shoulder blades come down, chin comes in. Think of the egg and the spoon, and then tongue on the roof of the mouth. Now let's challenge ourselves by moving the arms in this position. And as you move the arms, go a little bit faster. And again, I do this in a lot of my warm-ups because it's such a good thing to do. Now, can you really go fast with your arms? Shoulder blades down. And now go back to the core of the foot. Take a breath. Inhale, exhale. Lift up through your pelvic floor into your belly. Shoulder blades down, chin in. Can you feel that deep inner strength, that inner you? Yes? Can you feel it? It's good, isn't it? Now let's slow the movement down and start to look over one shoulder and then the other. Keep working the shoulder blades down. Keep lifting in through your center as you do this. Keep breathing it through. Keep lengthening from your ear. So you're bringing those shoulder blades down. Don't forget that core of your rib cage and shoulder girdle. You're bringing the shoulder blades down all the time. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to add in another element. So I want you to, if you've got your band, obviously you don't have to use your band, but if you've got your band, you're going to put it underneath your right foot. Now we're going to think about those core elements again. So you're going to lift up through the core of the foot, scoop up from the back of the pelvic floor into the belly, draw the shoulders down, bring your chin in, tongue on the roof of the mouth, and then we're going to lift the arm up. Now as you lift the arm up, you're going to just bring your arm up, so it's like a single arm row if you know single arm rows. Imagine basically you're using your left hand to eat with a spoon. Yeah, that's the action that you're doing. Now, if you want to work a little bit harder, you can bring your arm out longer. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. So you either do a short arm or a long arm position. Long arm's going to be harder. But I really want you to think about how that impacts on all of this core area here. So you take a breath, inhale, exhale, draw up through the core of the feet, lift into your center and bring the arm up. Sit, and then lower it again. Take a breath, inhale, exhale, bring the arm up. Now, if you want to, you can bring it up higher. Shoulder blades down. Remember, you're creating length from your ear to your shoulder. Bring your tongue on the roof of the mouth, chin in, back of the neck, nice and long. And then take it back down and then do that again. Now, as you do the movement with the arm, lift up through the core of the feet, lift up through the pelvic floor, into the belly and lift. So you're working the whole body now, but we're working with core strength. Shoulder blades come down, chin is in, lifting through your center. Now remember, you might want to do this just with an elbow bent, shorter arm, or you can just do the movement without any kind of resistance. The resistance helps you to feel your core a little bit more. Let's do that one more time on this side. Take a breath, inhale, exhale, lift up through the core of the pelvis, draw it through the core of the feet, draw the shoulder blades down and lift your elbow up. Good, well done. Let's change sides. So we're going to do that rocking on this side this time. So we're going to do all of that on the other side. Just keep lifting and lowering through your left foot. Now this workout is more of a finding yourself, a kind of finding your positioning, which is again is what this workout is all about. So once you get into the habit of doing this, you won't need to use this video, but I would urge you to do this at least once a week for at least 4 to 6 weeks, just to keep this in your focus. And it's really important to come back to it. Also, if you have really tight hips or tight calves, it's a great way to release tension. It's a great way to warm up as well. So keep lifting right up onto that big toe joint, lifting into your center, shoulder blades down, chin in, back of the neck nice and long. And then we're going to hold that heel down, but we're going to draw up through the core of the feet, scoop up from the back of the pelvic floor into the belly, chin is in, and then you're going to start that running action. Now go really fast. Now remember to push your right knee out and feel your glutes squeezing on the right side. Now lift up from the pelvic floor into the belly, draw the shoulder blades down, chin in, squeeze the left buttock. Set. Go faster. Faster, faster, faster. Can you keep yourself stable? Now what's happening to your left heel? Is it doing that? Can you turn it back out? Can you keep lifting through your pelvic floor? This is great if you're pregnant, by the way, because you can really have to work on bringing your core muscles in and challenging them. And if you're postnatal as well, it's all good for everybody to do. You might want to move a little bit slower, and you might not want to use a band if you're postnatal. And if you're very pregnant, you might not want to use a band either. But it's all good. If you're strong enough, you can do it. It's fine. You've got to feel that core and your belly's got to stay in. Yeah. Now let's make that movement bigger and challenge our balance some more. Now, are you squeezing your left buttock? Are you drawing up through the core of the feet? Are you pushing your right knee out? Are you bringing your tongue onto the roof of the mouth? Are you drawing your shoulder blades down? Are you keeping your chin in? It's hard, isn't it, to do all those things, which is why you need to come back to this video to get all of these things really right. Okay, now let's put that band underneath the left foot. And we're going to add in some resistance. So make sure again, feet are turned into tram lines, so heel isn't turning in. Draw up through the core of the feet, squeeze your buttock, lift up through your center, and bring your elbow up to shoulder height. And if you want to, you can take it all the way up. and just lifting up. Lift up through your core muscles, work the shoulder blades down, lift into your center, and do that again. Shoulder blades down, chin in. Keep filling your center, keep lifting up through those core muscles, keep pushing the right knee out, keep squeezing your buttocks. So you take a breath, inhale, exhale, lift up through your pelvic floor into your belly. Stop a fart, stop a wee, feel the belly coming in, and you might want to put one hand onto this area to feel it draw in, and there should be no pushing out, everything should be pulling in. And feeling that lift, that centered feeling through your pelvic floor. One more time, take a breath, inhale, exhale, and lift up. And you're there. Well done. So just remember to keep coming back to this at least once a week. You can do it as many times as you want, but at least once a week for 4 to 5 weeks. Well done.